Hi, I'm Scott Danner with Freedom Street Partners, and today we're going to talk just a little bit about relationships and in reference to events or organizations or new rooms that you go into. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about Genius Network, which is an event that I go to every year, an annual event, and then a networking group of which I meet with and collaborate with individuals across the country a couple times a year that are not only inside my business but outside my business. And we talked about last year's experience with my first year and walking into the room and being in a room bigger than yourself, being in a room full of successful individuals that have all done pretty amazing things in their fields and in their industries. And really, that room is what you make it. And I was, this year, in my second year, I found myself talking to people in their first year and them asking me, what were some of the things that really stood out to you? If you were me and this was your first year, knowing what you know now, Scott, what would you do different? And I said, well, I think I'd do exactly what I did last year. And what I did year one was something I do often. That's a little difficult for me. And that's the first thing I do when I go into a new room is I shut up. Because I'm a talker, because I'm somebody that likes to share and I like to tell stories, the first thing I have to do is I have to quiet my brain and quiet my mouth and listen and really develop the ability to hone in on what everyone else is doing and seeing and saying around me. And that was the first thing I did in year one. The second thing was so many relationships in these rooms and these events, whether it's your local Rotary Club, and I've done this and experienced this, or it's an event that's worldwide like this, you go into a room and you can have a lot of width in your relationships. You can have a lot of wide relationships. You can kind of know everybody in the room. But I really focused year one on the depth of a few relationships. And with the depth of those few relationships, I was able to expand upon it as the year went on in the more collaborative meetings. And then year number two, really leverage those relationships and learn from even more of their friends and their deeper relationships. So, one of my uncles is super smart, and he always talks about this in relationships. He's just a phenomenal relationship builder. And he says lots of people have width, but not a lot of people have depth in their relationships. And so focusing on the depth of the relationship was something I found to be extremely valuable in this experience. And this experience is no different than joining a local Rotary Club, walking in after 3 meetings and saying, I'm really not getting anything out of it. It's all in what you give the room. If you go into that room to give, you're going to receive 10 times more than you ever intended. And if you go deep, it means you have to listen to what that other person's saying. You're not just there for what your ROI is, you're there for what they're there to get. And if you're helping them get it, they're going to help you get it. And so in going through this experience and focusing on not just the width of the relationships, but the depth, I was really glad to have learned that lesson years and years ago and to be able to apply it and really still apply it. I'm still learning and still growing, and I had an unbelievable time. But I really encourage you to focus on the depth of your relationships, whether it be in your business, whether it be in your community, whether it be just in your family. How deep are you going? And by depth, how much are you listening? Because we can all get what we need out of a relationship, but when we can really go deeper and help the other person get what they need, the satisfaction is tenfold. And the reality is they'll usually be willing and standing there to help you the next time you need it. So I'm Scott Danner with Freedom Street Partners, and today we talked about the relationship width and depth and how to really expand upon that. Thanks for joining me.